Have you ever looked in the mirror and noticed small changes in your body? Things that didn't seem to be there before? Perhaps your shirt seems a bit tighter around the waist, or maybe you caught a faint scent that wasn't quite familiar. As we get older, our bodies begin to reveal certain signs, some obvious, some so subtle that we might overlook them entirely. But these changes aren't random. They're clear markers of how our bodies adapt over time. Today, we're going to uncover 4 telltale signs of aging in older men's signs that not only reveal the passage of time, but also offer insight into how well you're aging. One of these signs is something you might even be able to smell before you see it. Another is a change that happens right in front of the mirror, growing larger year after year. And then there's one that surprisingly keeps stretching as the years pass, and another that quietly shrinks, making movements just a bit more challenging. But here's the good news. By understanding these changes, you can take action to slow them down and even reverse some of their effects. Whether it's through simple lifestyle changes, dietary adjustments, or specific exercises, I'm going to show you exactly what you can do to age more gracefully and maintain your strength and vitality. If you're over 60 and have started noticing these subtle shifts, stick with me, because by the end of this video, you'll not only recognize these 4 signs, but also know exactly what steps to take to keep living strong and confident. If you're ready to take control of your aging process, make sure to keep watching and let me know in the comments if you've noticed any of these signs yourself. Have you ever walked into a room or hugged an elderly loved one and noticed a particular scent? It's not unpleasant, but it's distinct, almost like old books or aged leather. It's a smell that seems to linger no matter how many showers are taken or how much cologne is used. But what exactly causes this? This phenomenon is known as the smell of aging, and it's not just in your imagination. Scientists have discovered that as men age, their skin undergoes a series of biochemical changes that lead to the production of a compound called nonanol. Nonanol is an unsaturated aldehyde that forms when fatty acids on the skin break down due to oxidative stress. This compound has a faint but distinct odor, often described as grassy or waxy. The interesting thing about nonanol is that it is much more stubborn than typical body odors. While normal sweat and oil wash away with soap and water, nonanol clings to fabrics and even to the skin itself, resisting regular cleansing. This explains why some men, even after showering and using deodorant, still notice that familiar scent. It's not poor hygiene, it's simply part of the aging process. Richard, a retired engineer now in his mid-70s, first noticed the scent when his granddaughter hugged him one afternoon. She smiled and said, "Grandpa, you smell like books and wood." At first, Richard thought it was his cologne, or maybe the detergent he used for his laundry. He switched brands, tried new soaps, even changed his diet slightly, but nothing seemed to change. It wasn't until he visited his doctor for a routine checkup that he learned about nonanol and its connection to aging skin. "I always thought it was just the house getting old," he laughed. But in reality, it was his skin going through a natural biological change, something almost every man experiences after the age of 60. Why does this happen? As we age, our bodies produce fewer antioxidants, the natural defense that protects our cells from oxidative stress. This decline allows fatty acids to oxidize more easily, creating nonanol. Young skin is able to regenerate and shed these compounds quickly, but older skin retains them longer, making the scent more pronounced over time. Interestingly, studies have shown that men begin to produce traces of nonanol around age 40, but it becomes much more noticeable after 60. This is why you might start catching a faint, almost nostalgic scent when you pick up a sweater that hasn't been washed for a while, or when you step into a closet full of old jackets. While nonanol production is a natural part of aging, there are effective ways to reduce its buildup. Choose the right soap. Regular body washes aren't designed to remove nonanol effectively. Look for soaps with persimmon extract or activated charcoal. These ingredients are proven to break down and neutralize nonanol. Improve your diet. Foods rich in antioxidants like green tea, citrus fruits, and leafy greens help fight oxidative stress and reduce the production of non-enol. Proper fabric care. Since non-enol clings to clothes, washing your clothing with baking soda or odor-neutralizing detergents can help keep that scent from building up. Richard, after learning about these tips, adjusted his routine. He started using a persimmon soap recommended by his doctor and added more leafy greens to his diet. Within weeks, he noticed a difference, not just in his own confidence, but also in the way his granddaughter hugged him tighter, no longer commenting on that old book scent. If you've ever noticed this scent on yourself or someone you love, comment the number 1 below. I'd love to hear your story, and don't forget to stick around because the next sign of aging might be something you're already struggling with without even realizing it. Have you ever wondered why your waistline seems to grow wider, even if your eating habits haven't changed? You might be exercising, watching your diet, and still that stubborn belly fat just won't go away. This isn't just a matter of indulging in a few too many snacks. It's actually a natural part of aging, driven largely by hormonal changes and a shift in how your body processes fat. As men age, several biological changes take place that make it much easier to gain belly fat and much harder to lose it. The main culprit, testosterone levels. Testosterone is the hormone responsible for maintaining muscle mass, regulating fat distribution, and keeping your metabolism running smoothly. Unfortunately, starting around age 40, testosterone levels in men begin to drop at a rate of about 1% per year. By the time you reach your 60s and beyond, that drop is significant enough to impact your body's ability to maintain lean muscle and burn fat efficiently. Muscle is metabolically active tissue, which means it burns calories even when you're not exercising. Less muscle mass means fewer calories burned, and the excess energy gets stored as fat, mostly around the belly. This is why you might find that even with the same diet and exercise routine you had in your 40s, your waistline is growing. But testosterone isn't the only factor. There's also insulin resistance. As we age, our cells become less responsive to insulin, the hormone responsible for regulating blood sugar. When your cells don't respond well, your body stores more glucose as fat, particularly in the abdominal region. Frank, a 76-year-old retired firefighter, had always been fit. In his younger years, he could eat what he wanted and never seemed to gain weight. But after turning 65, he began to notice his belly expanding. His shirts felt tighter, and he struggled to bend over without feeling pressure on his waist. Frank hadn't changed his diet much, but his body had changed without him realizing it. He blamed it on age at first, but during a checkup, his doctor explained the natural decline in testosterone and how it was affecting his metabolism. Frank was surprised. He always thought belly fat came purely from overeating, but it turns out his body was simply storing fat differently due to hormonal changes. The hidden dangers of belly fat excess. Belly fat isn't just a cosmetic concern, it's a serious health risk. Unlike fat that accumulates around your hips or thighs, visceral fat, the type that wraps around your internal organs, is highly metabolically active. This means it releases inflammatory chemicals that can increase your risk of heart disease, lead to type 2 diabetes, contribute to cognitive decline and memory problems. In fact, studies have shown that men with larger waistlines are at a much higher risk of developing heart issues and even experience higher levels of fatigue, joint pain, and sleep disturbances. The good news: there are effective natural ways to combat belly fat and improve your overall health. Focus on resistance training. Lifting weights or doing bodyweight exercises helps to rebuild muscle mass and boost metabolism. Focus on compound movements like squats, deadlifts, and push-ups to engage multiple muscle groups. Increase protein intake. Protein is crucial for maintaining muscle mass and keeping you full for longer. Good sources include lean meats, fish, eggs, and plant-based options like beans and lentils. Cut back on processed carbs and sugars. Foods high in refined carbs like white bread, pastries, and sugary drinks spike insulin levels, leading to more fat storage. Swap these out for whole grains, fresh vegetables, and low-glycemic fruits like berries. Prioritize healthy fats. Don't shy away from fats, just choose the right ones. Avocados, nuts, seeds, and olive oil are great sources of healthy fats that promote good heart health. Stay consistent with movement. Daily walks, light jogging, or cycling can help maintain a healthy weight and improve insulin sensitivity. Even 30 minutes a day can make a significant difference over time. Frank decided to make a few simple changes. He began adding more vegetables and lean protein to his meals, reduced his sugar intake, and started lifting light weights at his local gym twice a week. Within a few months, his belly began to shrink, and he found bending over was much easier than before. His energy levels improved, and he felt more confident. If you've been struggling with a growing belly despite your best efforts, comment the number 2 below. I'd love to hear your story and share more tips on how to get back in control. And don't go anywhere. The next sign is one you might not have even noticed, but it's happening right now. Let's move forward. Have you ever looked at an old photo of yourself and thought, Wait, were my ears always that big? If you have, you're not imagining things. Unlike many parts of the body that shrink or sag with age, your ears actually get bigger as you grow older. This isn't just an optical illusion, it's a scientifically proven fact. To understand why this happens, we need to look at the structure of the ear. The outer ear is primarily made of cartilage, a flexible tissue that doesn't contain bones or muscles. Unlike bone, which stops growing after puberty, cartilage continues to grow throughout your entire life. In addition to natural growth, there's another factor at play: gravity. Over the years, gravity exerts a constant downward pull on the cartilage, causing it to stretch and elongate. This effect is slow but steady, making your ears appear longer and sometimes even a bit droopier. Studies have shown that on average, ears grow about 0.08 inches, 2 millimeters every 10 years. While that might not sound like much by the time you reach your 70s or 80s, the difference is noticeable. And it's not just the outer earlobes also become thinner and longer as the collagen and elastin in the skin degrade over time. George, a 78-year-old retired teacher, was flipping through his wedding album with his grandson when he noticed something odd. His ears, which seemed perfectly proportional on his wedding day, now appeared larger and more stretched out. "I never realized how much they changed," he laughed. Curious, George decided to measure his ears, something he had never thought to do before. He compared his measurements with those of his wedding photos and was genuinely surprised to find that his ears had grown by nearly half an inch over the decades. He even noticed his earlobes were longer and less firm. It's a small change that happens so gradually you don't even notice it until you look back at old photographs. Unlike belly fat or thinning calves, growing ears don't pose any health risks. It's purely cosmetic. However, for some men, the change in appearance can affect confidence. Drooping earlobes and elongated ears are often seen as clear markers of aging, and while it's completely natural, it can sometimes make people feel self-conscious. While you can't completely stop your ears from growing, there are a few ways to minimize the effects. Protect your skin from sun damage. UV exposure breaks down collagen and elastin in the skin, accelerating the sagging process. Wearing a hat or applying sunscreen to your ears can help maintain skin elasticity. Moisturize regularly. Keeping your skin hydrated helps maintain its firmness. Look for creams that contain collagen boosters and vitamin E. Stay hydrated. Drinking enough water each day keeps your skin supple and less prone to drooping. Consider facial exercises. Simple facial yoga techniques can help tone the skin and muscles around the ear area. George, after realizing his ears were stretching over time, decided to take action. He started wearing a hat when working in his garden, applied a light sunscreen to his ears each morning, and began using a collagen-rich moisturizer. While it didn't stop the growth entirely, he noticed his earlobes were less droopy and more resilient over the next few months. He laughed one day while looking at his reflection and said, "At least now I won't be mistaken for Dumbo." If you've noticed your ears growing or even just appearing a little bit longer than before, comment the number 3 below. I'd love to hear your story and maybe even share some more tips. But don't go away just yet. The next sign is one that most men never notice until it's almost too late. Let's move forward and discover it together. Have you ever looked down at your legs and thought, "Where did my calves go?" For many older men, the once strong and well-defined muscles in the lower legs seem to slowly fade away with age. This isn't just in your imagination. There's real science behind why this happens, and it's something that, if ignored, can affect your overall strength and mobility. The gradual loss of calf muscle is primarily due to a natural process called muscle atrophy, which accelerates with age. Starting around age 50, men begin to lose muscle mass at a rate of 1% per year, a number that increases significantly after 60. By the time you reach your 70s or 80s, muscle loss can be quite noticeable, particularly in the calves. But why the calf muscles are part of what's known as type 2 muscle fibers, the fast twitch muscles responsible for quick, powerful movements like running or jumping. These fibers are the first to degrade as we age, especially if they're not regularly engaged. Another major factor is decreased physical activity. Many older adults tend to be less active than they were in their younger years, which means the muscles in the legs, particularly the calves, aren't being stimulated enough to maintain their strength and size. Even if you walk every day, it may not be enough to fully engage the calf muscles in the way that resistance training or uphill walking would. Lastly, circulatory changes play a role. Blood flow to the extremities tends to decrease with age, which can affect muscle health and recovery. Less blood flow means less oxygen and fewer nutrients delivered to those muscle fibers, accelerating the atrophy process. Robert, a 75-year-old former construction worker, always took pride in his strong legs. He used to climb ladders and carry heavy loads with ease. But as he reached his late 60s, he began to notice that his calves were getting thinner and weaker. Stairs became harder to climb, and even standing up from a chair without pushing off his hands was a struggle. At first, Robert assumed it was just part of getting older. But during a visit to his physical therapist, he learned that muscle atrophy was robbing him of his strength. His therapist explained that without targeted exercise, his calves would continue to shrink, making it harder for him to stay mobile and independent. You might think that shrinking calves are just a cosmetic issue, but the reality is far more serious. Your calf muscles are crucial for balance and stability. Weak calves can make it harder to maintain balance, increasing the risk of falls. Walking and mobility calves act as the second heart-pumping blood back up to your core. Weakness in these muscles can make walking slower and more difficult. Independence daily activities like getting out of a chair, climbing stairs, or even standing up after tying your shoes become significantly harder without strong calves. Studies have found that men with weak lower leg muscles are 3 times more likely to experience falls, leading to injuries that can dramatically affect quality of life. The good news: you can rebuild your calf strength with the right exercises and lifestyle changes. Here are practical steps you can start today. 1. Calf raises. The foundation exercise: stand with your feet shoulder width apart, hands on a chair or a wall for balance. Slowly lift your heels off the ground, standing on your toes. Hold the position for 2-3 seconds and then lower back down. Aim for 3 sets of 15 reps daily. 2. Resistance band training. Sit in a chair, place a resistance band around the balls of your feet and gently push forward as if you are pressing on a gas pedal. This exercise strengthens both the gastrocnemius and soleus muscles, the 2 main muscles in your calves. 3. Uphill walking or incline treadmill. Walking uphill naturally engages the calf muscles far more than walking on flat ground. If you're at the gym, setting the treadmill to a slight incline can make a noticeable difference over time. 4. Stay active and stretch. Regular walking is important, but adding short sprints or faster-paced walking once a week can activate dormant muscle fibers. Stretch your calves after every workout to maintain flexibility and prevent injury. 5. Increase protein and hydration. Your muscles need protein to rebuild. Aim for lean meats, fish, eggs, and plant-based proteins. Staying hydrated improves blood flow to the muscles, supporting recovery and growth. Robert took his therapist's advice and started doing calf raises every morning before breakfast. He also added resistance bands to his routine and began walking on hilly paths near his home. Within 3 months, his calves began to regain strength, and he found it much easier to climb stairs and stand up from chairs. He proudly told his grandson, "I'm stronger now at 75 than I was at 70. If you've noticed your calves shrinking or feeling weaker over the years, comment the number 4 below. I'd love to hear your story and maybe even share a few more tips. And if you think these changes are the only signs of aging, stick with me, because we're about to tie it all together in the final thoughts. Let's move forward together. As we reach the end of this journey, let's take a moment to reflect on everything we've covered. Aging is a natural process, but it's not just about adding more candles to your birthday cake. It's about understanding how your body changes and what those changes reveal about your health. We've uncovered 4 telltale signs of aging in older men. The unmistakable smell of aging, a scent that isn't about hygiene, but about the way your skin changes at the cellular level. A bigger belly that won't budge, an expanding waistline driven by hormonal shifts in a slower metabolism. The mystery of growing ears, cartilage that keeps stretching and elongating, revealing the passage of time. The disappearing calves, muscle loss that not only changes the way you look, but also how you move and maintain your balance. These signs are more than just physical changes. They are signals from your body, reminders that the passage of time leaves its mark, but also that you still have the power to make a difference. Understanding is the first step toward change. If there's one thing I hope you take away from this video, it's this: aging is not something to fear, it's something to understand. When you understand why your body changes, you gain the power to take action. You've already taken the first step by learning about these signs. Now it's time for the next step, taking control of your health. Small, consistent changes in your daily habits, whether it's adding more antioxidants to your diet, focusing on resistance training, or simply being mindful of your physical activity, can have a tremendous impact on how gracefully you age. Aging gracefully isn't about stopping time, it's about thriving through it. Richard embraced better skincare and diet to reduce the effects of none. Frank committed to resistance training and healthier eating to control his belly fat. George began protecting his ears from the sun and hydrating his skin to slow down cartilage growth, and Robert regained his calf strength through simple yet powerful exercises. Each of these men chose not to accept aging as a downward spiral, but as a chance to take back control. They proved that you don't have to just get old, you can age with purpose, strength, and confidence. What about you, Mom? Now it's your turn. Which of these signs have you noticed in yourself? Maybe it's that faint scent you catch when you pick up an old sweater. Perhaps it's the belly that won't budge no matter how many sit-ups you do. Or maybe, like Robert, you've started to see your calves getting smaller and weaker. Here's what I want you to do. Pick one thing, just one sign that you want to take action on. Start small. Maybe it's doing calf raises each morning, switching to a soap designed for aging skin, or adding more lean protein to your diet. Stick with it. Consistency is your greatest ally. Your body is your story, make it one worth telling. The changes you see are proof of a life well lived. Every line, every gray hair, every subtle shift is a part of your story, but that story is still being written, and you have the power to make the next chapters even stronger and more vibrant than the last. If you found this video helpful, if you saw yourself in any of these stories, please comment below and share your experience. And if you haven't already subscribed to our channel for more insights and tips on aging gracefully. Because getting older isn't about slowing down, it's about living smarter, stronger, and more confidently than ever before. Join us and let's age with wisdom and strength together.